Hi everyone, welcome to my studio. Today we're going to be doing a map that explorers might have used. If you were an explorer, you would have needed to know where certain things were. You'd want a ship on your map. You might want to know where villages would be located so you could take on supplies. You might need to know where trees would be or forests that you'd have to go through or mountain ranges. You might have to have a label to know what kind of map it is to tell you where you're going. And you might want to know where sea serpents would have been located if there was something in the water that would be an obstacle for you. So let's get started on our project today. You're going to need a piece of brown paper. Kind of a light brown would be a good color because it'll look more like the parchment paper that they would have used. You'll need a pencil, an eraser, a Sharpie marker, some colored pencils, and I'm using Prismacolor pencils, but you can use Crayola or whatever you have on hand. And you'll need something circular to trace around. So let's get started. The kinds of ships that a sailor would have used on an explorer's map would have been called a caravel ship. And the caravel ship would have had the bottom of the ship that looks something like this. Starting on the left-hand side of your paper, using your pencil, we're going to come down, across, and up. It looks sort of like a bowl. Go across, down, and up. And then we're going to come out with a little piece that sticks out in the front of the boat. Now the sailors would have had portholes that they would have been able to see their ships from or to shoot cannons out of. So we're going to make a circle inside of a circle. Circle inside of a circle and do that all the way across. And let's put some portholes on the back side too. Then draw a line underneath the portholes. On a caravel ship, there would have been 3 poles or mast. The mast that was the largest or tallest was called the mainmast, and it was the one that was in the center. Now on this part in particular, you're going to need to draw very, very lightly because we're going to be erasing part of our pole when we start putting our sails on. So this is your mainmast. We're going to start here, and we're going to go up kind of tall and skinny and come back down. On the mainmast, there were 2 sails. The one on the top is called the topsail. And the top sail would have been here, line going across, line going across. And then you curve the sides so it looks like the wind is blowing against the sail and puffing it out. Then you take your eraser and you erase off where it crosses on top of your sail. That's why you need to draw lightly. Underneath the top sail, there would have been a little basket. It's called the crow's nest. The crow's nest is what the sailors could crawl up into so they could see a long distance away. And the crow's nest looks like this. Go straight across, come in at a slant, and then connect. To make it look like it's a woven basket, just make some more lines coming down and lines going across. All right. Under the top sail in the crow's nest would have been the mainsail. In the mainsail, we're going to have a bar or piece of wood here. There's a skinny piece of wood. And then we're going to do another line at the bottom. Once again, curve your sides of the sail so it looks like the wind is blowing it out. And erase your pencil line that connects over the top of your sail. All right. On the front of the ship, there was another pole. This is called the foremast. And on the foremast was the foresail. It's a little bit shorter pole than the one that we just did. So draw it going up straight again, kind of skinny, but a little bit shorter than the one we just did. There will be a piece of wood at the top, very thin. A line at the bottom going across. And then connect your sides with the sides curving to make it look like the wind's blowing it. Erase off the lines that go over the top of your sail. On the back of the ship, there was a pole that was called the mizzen mast. And the mizzen mast has a sail that's totally different than the others. So here's our mizzen mast. Nice skinny pole. It's going to be about the same height as the one in the front of the ship. Back down skinny. And the mizzen mast has a sail that looks very different than the others. It's called the lateen rigged sail. It looks like a triangle. So put your pencil out in the middle of the air. We're going to come straight down, go across, and then connect back to where you started. Down, across, back to where you started. Erase off where the line goes over your sail. Next, we're going to add some flags on the top of each one of our poles. And to make them look like they're blowing in the breeze, we're going to make a triangle that looks like it's waving. Okay, there are 3 flags. There also will be some ropes that will be attaching to our boat. There's one that goes from under this flag down to the tip of the ship, and then there'll be another one that goes underneath the crow's nest to the front of the ship. The sailors would have needed a way to get up into the crow's nest, so we need a net, and the net is going to run from the crow's nest to the back of the ship like that, and from the crow's nest to the back of the ship right here. Then do 2 more lines in between, and then do some horizontal lines going across. Just go right on top of your sails, connecting those 4 lines together, and that will form your net. Okay? The next thing you would have wanted to have on an explorer's map would be a banner that would have told what kind of map it was. It might be the map of the 1800s. It could be a map of the unknown, a map of the lost land. But to do a banner, we need to make it large enough that we can have words that can be seen. So up in there at the top of your paper, we're going to make a frown. Come down and make another frown. Make sure you're leaving enough space in this area so that you can write words. Connect the edges at a slant. Connect the edges at a slant. Now banners would often have little tails that would extend past the edges of it. So we're going to put our pencil in the middle of the banner. We're going to come out, go back under the banner, and then connect at an angle. Put your pencil here and go straight up. And see, that gives the illusion that the banner is wrapping back on itself. On this side, put your pencil in the middle. Come out, back under, and connect. Then draw straight up. All right, let's see if we can get a compass on next. You'll need something circular. I just have a roll of tape. You could use a cup turned upside down, whatever you have that's circular. And I think I'll start my compass right along here. There will be points pointing to the direction coming off of this, so make sure you don't put it too close to the bottom or too close to the ship so that you'll have space to do those little points. And you just trace around it. And then you'll go back and make another circle freehand inside of that one, about the same distance all the way around. Put a circle in the center. And then we're going to make our V's. There's an upside down V. Put a line in the middle. Here's a V at the bottom. Put a line in the middle. A V on the side. Put a line in the middle. And a V on the side. Put a line in the middle. Now as you have a chance to look at some old maps, they usually have the letters that form your directions, and they're kind of fancy letters. So here's my letter N for north, a letter E for east, a letter S for south, and a letter W for west. Let's add a little bit more decoration in this part. Make a line through the center, stopping at that circle. Make a line going across, stopping at the circle. Then we're going to divide this section in half, stopping at the circle. And divide this section in half, stopping at the circle. Then let's make smiles, connecting between those lines. And they'll turn into frowns on the bottom section. Okay? All right, that's the end of our compass. Sailors would have wanted to know if there was a sea serpent or some kind of creature in the water, so they would know to sail around that area or be careful. So we're going to do a sea serpent in this section over here. And the sea serpent's head will look like this. You can give your sea serpent an eye. It looks like a smile and a frown, circle in the middle, and a little eyebrow to make him look like he's kind of angry. I guess sea serpents would be angry. That's hard to tell. All right, put your pencil in the center of his face, right here, not back at the back of his jaw, but right here, and come down. Pencil on the top of his head, bring it around. Make an upside down U with a second upside down U. Make his tail come out of the water and put a arrow point on the tip. Then go back and let's add some jagged edges for his spikes. Add some water underneath his body so it looks like he's coming out of the water. And then we want to have some smoke coming out of the front of his nostrils. So 2 lines and a little puffy thing in the front. Now, the next step would be to add our land. And the land can be anywhere on the paper as long as the boat and the sea serpent are in the water. So I'm going to start way over here on this side, and I'm going to just make some land coming up behind my banner. Maybe a little jut coming down like a peninsula, and then go off the page. On the bottom, I'm going to start over here, and I'm going to make some more land area. Coming behind my compass, and then down. You can also add some islands, because sailors would have needed to know where islands would be located. And on the land, we're going to need to add where different things are, such as mountain ranges. So on this part here, we're going to make some mountains, and you just make upside down letter V, and then connect several of them together. Some of them can be taller, some of them can be shorter, or in the distance. Up on this section, let's do some trees for a forest. Let's start with a trunk. Here's 2 lines for your trunk, and let's add roots. Slanted line, slanted line. Put a V in the middle. The next trunk will be a little bit shorter, not quite as tall. Slanted line, letter V. And this one will be even shorter back here. On this side, let's make another trunk that's shorter than the first one we did. and then a fifth one. The tops of the trees or leaves will begin with this tree that's in the center, and we're just going to make nice big fluffy smiles that will become frowns. The next tree would go behind that one, and then the last tree would go behind that one. Same thing on this side, and there's our 5 trees. On this side of the paper over here, we're going to add a little village. The sailors would have needed to know on an explorer's map where they could stop to pick up supplies or find safety if there was a need or medical attention. So let's begin by making a hut. Come across, make an upside down letter U for a doorway. And then the thatched roof would have come across with lines like this. And we would like to have several in this area, so it looks like a little village. So make another one. And then we'll do some that are behind. So it looks like a grouping of them. Okay. Now that we have drawn off everything, we need to talk about how we would label it. It's very important for the sailors to know where things were. So what kind of map would you want yours to be? You could write the words map of the 1800s. You could write the treasure map. You could write unknown lands. Whatever you want to name your map would be fine. A good hint is to remember that the letters for your words need to be in the center of this area, not right along the bottom edge. And you don't want to write them so that they're too large and they scrunch up over here on the end because there wasn't enough room. So write very lightly until you have it in place. I think I'm going to name mine The Lost Land. Make sure your letters are large enough to be read and they're in the middle of the banner. To name your trees, it's fun to think about either a T for trees or an F for forest, and then have another word that goes with it. So, for instance, I could say terrific trees, or I could say forever forest. Whatever you want to name yours. I think I'll name mine the forever forest. And you want to write the letters so they're large enough to be read. And forest is spelled F-O-R-E-S-T. If you're not sure how to spell words correctly, check it out in a dictionary before you put them on here. For the islands, you could choose a word that starts with an I. I think I'll name mine the Ice Cream Islands. But you can name yours whatever you choose. Mountains. It could be Mountains of Mystery or another M word. I think I'll just go ahead and do mine Mountains of Mystery. And then on the huts, it could be huts or it could be a village, so it could be a V or an H. I think I'll name mine the Humorous Huts. And then under the Sea Serpent, just put Sea Serpent. All right, now everything has been labeled and it's drawn off, so the next thing we're going to need to talk about is the colors that we'll be using. We know that the boat is going to be brown and the poles would be brown, and so would the crow's nest. The sails themselves would be white, and then all of the flags would be red. On the compass, you can choose any 3 colors you want and put them wherever you want. The mountains would be brown. The tree trunks would be different colors of brown because all trees are not the same. And I would use different colors of green on the tree leaves. The huts would be brown. You could do 1 color on the bottom of the hut and 1 color on the top. Usually in old explorers maps, the banner is kind of a red color. Sea serpent I would do in green. You could make his smoke coming out white and then red on his spikes. So I've already done one to show you those colors that we just talked about. And I wanted you just to kind of look at this very quickly, and then we'll do a little bit more coloring to finish it up. You can see how I did the different colors of green on the leaves, different colors of brown on the trunks, and I put a little bit of brown underneath the bottom of the trees just so it looks like it's on land. Same thing on the huts. I did 1 color brown for the actual hut and then a different color for the rooftops. There's your ship in brown, sails white, and the flags red. Sea serpent's green with the spikes in red. The mountains, I did 2 different colors of brown, so it looks like there's a shadow on one side, and then I just used 3 colors on my compass. Since I did Ice Cream Islands, I did it in white, but you could do yours in green or brown, whatever color you want for your dirt. I did want to show you, these are my color pencils I used, and I think I said at the very beginning that I used Prismacolors or Spectra colors. You can use any kind that you have on hand. I'm going to use the red to go over my map banner so you can see how I do it to make it look like it's older. If you'll take it and go around the edge, pressing down hard, and then we're going to do lighter on the inside part where the words are located. Okay, all right, so I'm going to go back now and just do very, very lightly. And just kind of fade it into it so it looks like it's that old kind of parchment paper with the coloring on it. We also need to add a little bit of color in the water. With the blue, I do a little bit of blue under the sea serpent, like this, and just kind of let it fade out so it gets lighter as it comes down. I put a little bit underneath the boat. And once again, lift up the pressure and just kind of let it fade out. Do the same thing along the edges of the water, where the water touches the land. And notice I'm going side to side, not up and down, not diagonally, just straight across. And I think I'll put a little bit of water around those islands too, just to make it look like there's water surrounding them also. Okay, well that's how we do the Explorer's Map. I think it's a really fun project and I hope you enjoy doing it. And I will look forward to seeing you in my studio for another project soon. Thank you so much for stopping by today.